Welcome to Franchise Empires, where aspiring entrepreneurs learn exactly what it takes to become a successful franchise owner, from one location to 10 and beyond. I'm the Wolf of Franchises.
Hey everyone, it's the Wolf. Today on the show, we have return guest Cynthia May, the CEO and founder of Beem Light Sauna, one of the leading brands in the wellness space. This was a super fun conversation, as when I first interviewed Cynthia over a year ago, Beem Light had just a few locations open, but 80 plus in development. Today, they have over a dozen locations open, and will have roughly 60 plus locations open by the end of the year. Cynthia shares what the transition from growth to operating, opening, and support has been like, and where she sees Beem Light going in the next few years. I think you'll enjoy, especially for any franchisees interested in the wellness space.
The Wolf of Franchises is the CEO of Wolfpack Franchising, as well as a creator at Workweek Media. All opinions expressed by the Wolf and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Wolfpack Franchising or Workweek. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. The Wolf, Workweek, and Wolfpack Franchising may maintain positions in the franchises discussed on this podcast.
Yeah, you had, when we last spoke, I think you had 81 units in development and probably only 3 locations open. So like today, obviously.
I think we had just opened our third.
Yeah, and now about a year later, you're at like 16-ish open based on what you just told me, and then
15, 16, yep.
And
16 today.
Depending on how construction and build outs go, you'll be up between 55 and 65 by the end of the year, and then there's another 250 plus that are in the pipeline as well. So a lot's happened basically since we last spoke. What has that been like going from just, I guess, what is that? I'm horrible at math, but like 5xing the footprint today, and just even having that many in the pipeline operationally to like have that many build outs going on at once. It's like, obviously you got to get them open, but that's still an accomplishment. So many brands struggle. So what's this just growth phase been from like, okay, now we've done the quote unquote like awarding part, but now it's time to like support and execute and get these businesses actually opened.
This is opening year is what I'm calling it, which then really every year will be opening year, but there's this whole ramp up period, and that's when you're prepping for that ramp up, and you don't know when you start what that's going to look like. But for us, it's like we're scaling for, we're doing the same process, whether it's scaling for 3 or 5,000, you've got to create the systems to be able to support those 3 really, really well. So that started, back in before 2021 really is really building all those systems and processes. So then when you hit the ground running and get those open, now opening 55, sometimes we have 4, 5, 6 openings in a month. And so you have to have those systems and processes in place so that you can, the foundation of them, and then you have to tweak them along the way. You can't say, I set up this process forever and this is it. You have to be willing to be flexible and make a few shifts, but you really need that core foundation. So we really started building that in 2021 and have just been able to make tweaks from there. So opening that many is super exciting, and it's what you've worked for, and then seeing that impact with your franchisees and in their communities is really been an awesome experience. But it's not a slow-paced business. I don't think if you talk to any franchisor, they'd be like, "Yep, I'm just over here kicking my feet up." Like, you have to have a team that's energetic and ready to go and hit the ground running, because it's fast-paced. Our businesses, our studios that are open are 7 days a week. And they need your support 7 days a week. So, how well have you scaled those systems in a way that your franchisees can take and run with it? It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you share a bit about kind of the model, meaning like for the locations itself? Because I think something that really slows down a lot of brands is just finding the right location and
absolutely
for you guys to open as much as you're opening, I mean, you're clearly getting the sites that work for a franchisee. So,
Yeah.
what is your target for once a franchisee's on board and you're helping them pick that site? Is this something that's going in a strip mall or is it standalone? Can you give us some details
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, we go for Class A spaces, brick and mortar spaces, and real estate spaces. So we have, building those, talking about those systems and processes that you're building so you can hit the ground running. That's part of it. It's figuring out your core competencies as a brand at home office, and then figuring out your weak areas. And are you going to build an internal team to do that, or are you going to find amazing vendor partners that have
Yeah.
had, years of experience in that? So we really had to take a step back and look at what are our natural core competencies that we have as a business and a brand that we built so far, and then say, are we wanting to build on that or outsource? So we did. We decided to partner up with some great real estate partners that know franchising space, that know the Class A. They have our brand guidelines, but they've worked within that space for so long, they're able to move so much quicker. And so giving our franchisees the expertise from our vendors has been huge, because for a lot of people, whether you were a corporate CEO or a doctor, that if this is your first time doing a brick and mortar, it's new to you. And so anything that's new is, whether there's fear involved or stress, it's new. So you have to spend more time learning it. So let's plug in an expert and really finding those partners. So we have great real estate partners. And then another area from there that's a major pain point for, I would say, probably any brick and mortar franchise or business is the build out phase. Again, it's not something that most people have done on repeat. And so finding, again, somebody who's done this for years, worked with franchise brands, understands the space, understands your model. And then the more that they do it, it's like rinse, repeat. And so it takes that pain point away from your franchisee, and again, plugs in a vendor partner that has been doing it for so long and can, take away the lengthy time or help reduce the length of time to getting into a site and then start building it out and then getting to opening day. So that's been a huge focus of ours. And we've been, really fortunate to have amazing vendor partners in that space.
Yeah, I think utilizing the right partners can definitely, especially for emerging brands, it's critical and can make the world of difference. And speaking of kind of that like road to opening, something I've been curious to learn about. It really started with we had a franchisee of Stretch Lab on the show, and he talked a lot about the kind of pre-opening membership sales that he personally was doing, and he was it was interesting for him. He was like at a local level, just making relationships with other fitness brands like Orange Theory and whatnot, who maybe their customers could theoretically benefit if they were getting stretched out regularly. But
yeah, absolutely.
The idea of this, like he was saying, just the success he personally was having in selling a lot of memberships prior to even opening, where it just made his financial burden on an operating monthly basis a lot more. I'm curious to hear, kind of, do you guys have something similar built out for franchisees where, before they're even opening, hopefully they're starting with some level of base memberships?
Yeah, we do. That's a great point is, we're a membership based business. And so that's a huge value add. And it also brings this whole pre-launch play that for a lot of businesses, that's you open your doors and then you start to generate the revenue, and you slowly climb. And you have the opportunity with these membership-based models, depending on the industry and the service, to pre-launch them and start. And we, again, another pain point because you're dealing with sales at that point. And so sales is not everyone's core competency. And so where can we alleviate some of that pain? So we partnered with a pre-launch partner who helps do that as well. We have internal, we have all the resources and support that you need to be able to do it on your own with a team. So we'll give you all of the scripts, everything you need from, start to finish to be able to pre-launch your studio and open generating revenue. or you have the option to go with a vendor partner who will do all of those sales for you in pre-launch on the phone for you. So that gives the option to kind of focus on the other things in your business. You still need boots on the ground. So either way you go, whether you're doing it yourself, which doesn't really mean doing it yourself. It means you're hiring a team, but we're, there to support you. You have all the resources and tools to be able to do that, or you're going with this vendor partner. We still need your boots on the ground. You're local to your community. You know, the business is there. And you have to start building those relationships and get people hyped and excited and educated about what's coming. And so it is a partnership through and through at every point, especially during that pre-launch phase.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just think it's super interesting for like for any membership based business. It's just a real advantage if you can execute early on. And I'm not asking for the secret sauce per se, but on just that like the kind of a pre-opening process and selling memberships before you're open, you mentioned like, some franchisees maybe aren't as good at selling, but, is there actually like a sales component to it? And I'm asking that because like, I was honestly just thinking maybe you're just running Instagram ads that like, hey, like, Beam Light Saunas or, Facebook, Instagram, Google ads that this business is opening. And maybe there's like an early bird special, but it sounds like it is more in depth than that.
Yeah, there's definitely a sales component to it, but we really go, I always say, when you do education and service, then the sales will come. So if you're educating correctly and you have that great service, the sales will come. And so I wouldn't say we're a heavy sales organization, but definitely I'll take that back. Any company needs to have sales. Every company, and small business has sales. So that's always a huge part of it. But going back to that pre-launch play, there is a sales part to it in there, and having the ability, even when you're on the phone, to know that the right words to say, to know how to start the conversation and handle objections and educate through that. So having some of those skills is really helpful during that process. But truly, we're just getting on the phone and educating. So it's not cold calling. They are asking to receive more information through, whether it's the website or through Facebook ads or social media, they're requesting more information. So we're calling people that have requested to learn more, and then we're educating them. And then through that, selling a founding membership, which has a special rate that you're locked into. So yeah, that is, and you talk secret sauce. It really is just consistency of that and staying on top of it and continue to educate in a consistent manner, which is really where that secret sauce is. And then having, you think about a team that's doing that all day over and over, that repetition is, a massive advantage to those people. So, most of our franchisees, like more than 90%, actually go with the vendor partner during pre-launch so that they can focus on building their team during that time and doing boots on the ground, pop-ups, and just business to business and out in the community, really building those relationships so they don't have to focus all their time and energy on the phone, because you are on the phone a lot. You have to make a lot of calls, and we have a lot of outreach from the network, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And I totally hear you on the sales side. Just, you get to a point, I even got to this point when I used to do franchise sales for a few emerging brands. And after a certain amount of reps, you kind of know every single objection that you could possibly, and every single question and variation of the question. And the conversations just definitely get easier.
It does. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. And well, speaking of kind of just educating, potential customers, like I'm on your website right now. Could you kind of give us just like a high level overview of the concept? I mean, I see obviously
Absolutely.
the brand is Beam Light Sauna. So I know there's a sauna, but I also see infrared light therapy and red light therapy. And like what are my options if I'm looking at going to a Beam Light Sauna? And, like, am I in the sauna with a group, like at the gym, or is it personal?
Yeah.
What's the experience?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're focused, super hyper focused and light. So that's where we've decided to stay in and maintain. Now within light therapies and modalities, there's so many things that are there. So we're not saying that we won't adapt and keep up with the latest and greatest new light therapies. That's our bread and butter. That's where we're honed in on. And so it gives us that hyper focused ability to really kill it in the light space. So right now, our two main services when you come in are the infrared light therapy and the red light therapy. And we're in the middle of some other things within light, which are really awesome and we'll hopefully share with you soon, but really growing in that light space. So you come in and, we're customer and experiential focused. And so we want from that first moment that you step in to feel lighter and brighter. And so our environment delivers that. We don't have that dark space. We are very light and bright. And I would say there's a bubbliness to it because we really want you to feel just kind of relaxed when you walk in. If you go for a light session from the infrared light sauna, you're going to do a 40-minute session. And so you get to go in there and customize your experience, whether you want to watch your favorite Netflix or you want to meditate or you need to make a business call. So you're multitasking in there, or we have people doing yoga in there, reading books, homework. So you can customize your experience from within, in that session. And then our red light session is about 15 to 20 minutes. And so super peaceful, but you can cocktail them if you want. You can go in one and then the other, which a lot of our members do. Or you can just come in for one. So if you need a quick fix, you can go in for just a quick 15-minute red light session. And you can even do that with the infrared light session. We have some people that just prefer a shorter amount of time. And so they'll do 20 or 30 minutes. So it's very customizable from the moment you walk in the door to what you want to do. But we are super focused in light therapy and continuing to, just evolve in that space, which is awesome. It's not, people are like, oh, are you limiting yourself? And no, we're just hyper focused in that. We're not limiting ourselves because the technology is just continuing to have more information behind it and studies and research. And so it's just a growing area, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely is like a growing whole. This wellness sector is especially in franchising, is certainly growing. And I love the idea when a franchise and really any business kind of plants a flag in the ground and says like, hey, this is who we are going to be. Especially in this space where, I mean, I'm probably going to mess up like the names of the services, but there's like, you can just, it's probably pretty easy for you to maybe think, oh, well, we could also offer like cold plunges and vitamin C showers and like a bunch of other different cryo.
I mean, you could get you could IV, all the things. You can just add and add. And then for us, what we've chosen to do, not that it's right or wrong for other brands, but for us, we've just found that, we really want to know the space that we're in. And the best way for us to do that is to hyper focus in this area. And those other services are phenomenal. And some of our feedback that we've heard is that it's almost decision fatigue that you get when you go into that, where if you come into Beam, it's like, this is what I'm doing. And they know what it is. And I know what it is because they know so well because they're hyper focused in it. The consumer and the customer and the member who comes in, it's a clear choice. And there's not decision fatigue, where we say we want it all, but then, you go in somewhere to a store like Marshall's or something, you're just like, oh, it's overwhelming. There's so many options that you're, half the time it's like I walk in and I walk out because I'm like, I forgot what I was even in here for because there's so many options. So just being able to kind of take that stress off and then know what you're going in there for. And I love seeing the growth in these other spaces because it helps our industry as well, in our space as well, because it means there's more education on preventative care and then recovery care, which we've just seen such a gap in over the years. If you look back 5-10 years, really even closer than that, like 4 or 5 years, health and wellness then was diet and exercise. And you were missing an entire component. And so now you're seeing, no, it's not just diet and exercise. There has to be that preventative care and then that recovery phase. So you're kind of seeing the full circle of health and wellness, or I should say health and wellness coming full circle and actually tapping into to all of that.
Completely agree. And yeah, for a novice like myself, generally speaking, red light therapy and infrared light therapy, I mean, I've never done it, so it's hard for me to even kind of
You
figure
gotta
out.
do it.
I know. If there's a beam light sauna coming to New York City, then
There is really
okay,
soon. So we'll keep you updated. There is
there we
some.
go. There we
Yeah.
go. Beyond, is it more so the cosmetic, like appearance based focus that you see from customers?
Yeah.
Or is it also just maybe even, it sounds like a very therapeutic experience to get a session done.
Yeah, there are a wide range. The aesthetic side is definitely there for sure. And it's funny, that's probably not the least known side of it, but it's not in red light. I think there's more knowledge around that because you'll see in aesthetic practices, you'll see they have like the little red light face lamps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been in aesthetic practices for much longer than it's been available to the consumer. So people are used to red light with the aesthetic part. The infrared light saunas are not as well known for that. So that's a newer part of that education that they're starting to learn. Oh, wow, this is great for my skin. So a lot of people are coming in because they're really detoxing and burning calories. And so those are the things that they really know about. And then it's like, oh, wait, this helps my eczema and it helps my inflammation. And oh, it helps with muscle recovery. And so usually when they come in, they're coming in because they've heard about one thing that it does. Somebody told that they were talking about an issue they had and their friend was like, oh, have you done this? I heard that helps that. And then they come in and they're like, oh, wait, what? It could help with this, this, and this. And it's not just that it's the end all be all to everything. Health is such a process and it's such an individual, unique thing to each person. So it's a journey on where you are in your health journey and where this may fit in and really help throughout that journey. So we do have people who come in for, the anti-aging, and then a lot of people who come in to burn up to 600 calories in the sauna. And what we've realized is that we have who we call Lumi, which is our virtual wellness assistant, we call her. And she educates the consumer when they first come in. So you're asking about that experience, you're greeted, and then you go over to this Lumi screen who walks you through the entire education of infrared light therapy and red light therapy on a higher level. You can always deep dive, but this gives you a high overview of that. But you're choosing why you're there. And so what that does is it captures from that, we're able to take that data and capture, the top 3 or 5 reasons people are coming in. So it helps us get better at what we're doing and educate better on that front. And right now our top 3 reasons are in no particular order are mental health, weight loss, and detoxification. Now those may change. They've stayed fairly consistent, but it's cool because then you can take that and we can market better. We can educate better. So that's been a really cool experience. And then I did miss you said, do I go in there with everyone like a gym? You do not. You have your own room with your own suite. I'm like, wait, that's a really important thing. We can't miss that. And so, no, we do have what we call a social sauna where you could bring one other person, but that would just be someone There's not going to be like a random person sitting in there and then you go in. But no, they're all private individual suites and rooms. So you can really customize your whole experience through that.
That's so awesome. It sounds really nice. And the gym,
I feel like
gym
you
sauna
could,
experience is
it's
a wild card.
It's definitely
sometimes.
not the gym. So. Yeah. We've taken that and added it in a much more private, custom way. I had a member one time say, "You just made it so I can never go back into a gym sauna." And I was like, "Then we did our job, like we accomplished."
Yeah, I'd imagine it's tough to come back from that once you're accustomed to it, which is cool.
It is.
Well, for you personally too, I know last time we spoke, right? You were it was early on, and as the founder, that was kind of the I had questions for you that other franchise founders maybe would have had, but today, right now this quote unquote like emerging brand is real. You talk about if you close the year out with 55, 65 locations open, that's like a massive jump as a company. Mm-hmm. And I know you're now officially kind of not kind of, you are the CEO. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious from a professional standpoint, what's that transition been like? And I say this as, you look at even outside of franchises, especially with like startups and whatnot, there's a difference between being a founder and like those early days of a company, where then the needs and demands of the leader at say 60 locations open is just a different it's a different requirement than maybe 3 to 5. So yeah, curious
Absolutely.
for what that's been like for you.
Yeah. So my journey, I've been, I would say, an entrepreneur kind of from the beginning, not by like just like, oh, I'm going to grow up and be an entrepreneur, but kind of life circumstances threw me in that. And so I would have called myself probably a CEO with my first business, which was one solo sauna or salon location, and went from my earlier days prior to Beam. And so I've led teams and companies on a smaller scale. And then you're right, you nailed it. Like going from 3 locations to 55 by the end. That's a different level. And so I've really spent the last 2 years in this before prior to the CEO experience in the COO seat, and really learned that growth. And I had to really learn the franchising space and what that looked like. And no matter how simple the business is, no matter how small the team is that the business requires at a studio level, you're in the people business regardless. And you really have to figure that out and nail that down because you're leading people. And so I don't know if I can, some of this is as you go. Like people say, I'm a better, you'll hear CEOs that are like, no, my jam is like between, 5,000 and 10,000 employees and stuff like that. And it's like, what? I don't know if that's where I'm at. I don't know if that's my sweet spot. I guess I'll find out if I get there. And
Yeah.
so you have to just grow where you're at and put those people in front of you. And I'm really fortunate to have, advisors in the game and that have been in it way longer than I have that we're able to pour in. So you're able to learn really through a condensed time frame. It was super
Yep.
hyper, but that's why you find the who's in the business. And so it's funny, from COO to CEO, it didn't feel as huge of a transition, but probably because I've been so close in that role with the CEO. My business partner is now an advisor, and been able to grow and learn through that. And so it was, I would say, a really nice handoff, and hasn't felt, a ton different. Obviously, leading, a company and a growing one, there's challenges that come with that. And I'm constantly learning. I don't have it all figured out. And we all just have to give each other a little bit of grace as we're going through. But I really am super fortunate. It's my team, like it's not me. It
Yeah.
really is. It's really my team. And then it's who we decide to have join that team, which is our franchise owners, and growing through that. And so yeah, it's been a fun ride. I'm still learning and growing, but I haven't felt that extreme, like, whoa, this is nuts from the, moving into that CEO role. But yeah, you have to carry the vision and create, a space and a culture where you can allow the people that you bring in to really have their talent, the reason you hired them, to shine through. And so how do you create that vision and environment where your people are able to really work freely so that they are able to shine? Because there's so many talented people you can get. And a lot of times you'll talk to them and it's like, what's holding you back? And a lot of times it's our environment. So how do we create that environment where they have the freedom and autonomy to move quickly and make decisions and really use their skill sets? And that's a huge responsibility for me. So I can go in and talk about, the long-term vision and 500 locations and this many open and all of that. But where that really starts is at our home office and the culture that we're creating there for the people that are coming in. Because if we do that right, that automatically then extends to our franchise partner, because we're going to attract a different kind of franchise owner from that. And then they're going to attract a certain kind of team. And then they're going to build that culture in their community, in their studio, that then funnels out to their community. So if you don't get it right with your home office team and you're not giving people that place to really thrive, it it doesn't matter. The way I see it, it doesn't matter what your vision is long, down the road, you're not going to hit it, because you have to have your team and people believe in that and believe in it almost more than you do, and love it and go for it. So that's, that's the biggest challenge that I face, but I am the least talented on my team. It's them. It's them who are, they're pulling the weight, and they're in the grind, and they're, really, they're really doing it. So I can't really take any credit for that.
Well, I think you could take some credit, but at least a little bit. I do agree that, the home office, right? You guys do kind of set the tone, and that does have a ripple effect to the franchisees, and then from the franchisees to the communities they're operating in. And I think just the growth that you guys have had, because you mentioned, right, like that, who you guys are as the home office, right? It really does kind of become a magnet for who you attract to for newer franchisees, and then the franchisee base is almost representative in a way of what the home office has been like. So
absolutely,
I think you guys, just again, your growth is really, it speaks volumes for what you've done so far. And, given that the wellness space, as we've kind of talked about, there is other, it's become a bit of a, there's a lot of, there's brands, right? There's more brands
absolutely
in this space. So, but most of them aren't having the growth you're having. So, what would you say that is kind of giving you guys that X factor to find the right franchisees, and basically give them the sense of belief that they're going to succeed?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not one thing, there's timing is huge in all of it. Timing and people, and where the market is, and where the consumer's at. And so, 4 years ago, there's some luck in there too. I know that people are like, oh, you got to work hard. You absolutely have to work hard, but there's timing, there's some luck, and there's people in that. And so it's not just one thing. But 4 years ago, I did feel that when I opened, and of course then COVID hit. So my timing radar was a little bit off, but it ended up working out. And so the timing was right when we hit, but I felt that sense of urgency of like, this is coming in some way, whether I bring it or not. And I have a competitive nature, and I wanted to be the first to bring in. So I was to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So timing is crucial in that. And then I think, some of the vision of the brand and where it landed came from my experience. I don't have 30 years of corporate experience. I don't, and some people go, oh, well, I don't want to follow her. I have 20 years of brick and mortar retail service experience. And so I was able to, I made a lot of mistakes in my first business, and we were able to get that to a really, healthy place. But I think that just helps so much to hit the ground running the second time. Even though it was in a different business model, it was still within the service brick and mortar space. And so I was able to take a lot of those learnings and hit the ground running. And we made a ton of mistakes too then, that's why you join a franchise. I made those mistakes before, before they had to. And so we were able to really go in a space that had not, it wasn't knocking out all these other competitors. It was educating so that people knew who you were and what you were doing. And so, but it's all of the things. It's the look, it's the branding, it's the look and feel. It really starts with that culture and values that you put in place. And then all of those things kind of have to align to be able to get that kind of start. I can't really speak to other companies and what they're doing that's working or not working. And yeah, we've definitely hit tough places where we have to get our whole executive team in a room often and like, all right, guys, this is what we're seeing. But we stay really, really close to our franchisees and our GMs that are they're running these locations. And so when I first started out in 2024, I worked every position that I then created, and then we made into job descriptions, and that's our core team within our studio. So I had to work those positions to really understand, am I asking something that's realistic of this team member? I'm asking the sauna attendant to turn a room in 2.5 minutes. Is that realistic, or is 5 minutes realistic? So that seems like a funny thing to say, but I was able to get in those positions and really build them. And then that, shifted us to really staying close to our studios at that operational level so that we can make, when you're small like this, you can make changes quickly and efficiently. You have to be careful with that within a franchise organization, but you're able to pivot quickly within reason, not like, whiplash here and there, but like you're able to get with your executive team right away, have an hour meeting, make a quick pivot that's huge because you just talked to a GM at a studio level and you're able to pivot quickly from that. So for me, it's staying close to our studios and really understanding what their pain points are, and then also what's thriving and what is really taking off, and then bringing that service side. When I had a salon, different, having a differentiator, there was about 100, somewhere around 120 salons in a 6-mile space. So I was not creating a new concept. That's hugely competitive. So I just had a different perspective going in this because it was like, there's not any competition really at the time, but I knew that they were going to come. And so how do I differentiate that experience and our offerings? Because, when you're in a salon, you're getting a haircut here, you're getting a haircut there. And it could be a bad haircut or a good haircut, but what's your, I didn't reinvent the wheel there. So I think that gave me just a different level of experience from looking at competition and differentiators, and then being able to bring that service and experience from that and hit the ground running. But it's who did you, I can't build this myself. So I had to find the who's, and you have to look inward and say, what are my strengths and weaknesses, and be willing to really look at your weaknesses and be willing to hire people and bring people on your team that just blow you away. So you have to put your ego aside and say, that is not my strength and that's yours, and we need you for that. So there's a lot of different factors. I know that was kind of a hodgepodge, but it really is. It's not just one thing. You really have to, there is timing and luck and people. There's a lot of different factors in there. And then consistency and, simplicity is huge for us. We are able to grow at that scale partly because of the simplicity of the model as well. And so it's easily understood, and it makes it a lot simpler for our franchise owners to be able to take that concept and go with it. They don't have to train a personal trainer or know aesthetics, so it's not a specialty where they're training that. It is a team. You have to be able to build a team and inspire a team and create a culture. So we're able to really hyper focus on that, but it's not, okay, do that. And then they need all these special, certifications, and they need this constant training of this, and this. So that is super important. And any franchise is how scalable and how easily can you transfer this information over to them so that they can hit the ground running. So, the model definitely played into that, but those early years we were fighting the education and how were we going to educate the consumer more than anything. So not that, obviously you want to look out for competition, but right now we really welcome it because any competition is helping educate the consumer and becoming more aware of their services at this point.
Yeah, no, I think COVID aside, I can see what you're saying, where it was a benefit to being early because you've kind of established a foothold, and there's definitely probably a rising tide lifts all boats scenario at play.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And given you guys were so early to the movement that you I'm sure it's just a good benefit and natural kind of you guys are able to get that first look from a lot of customers and also franchisees, right? You guys were, there's probably a lot of businesses today that are like, I wish I started franchising, 3 years ago.
Yeah, right.
But, and now it feels like, well, to go through the process, learn the ropes, it might feel almost too late for certain companies. And meanwhile, you guys are about to have 60 locations open. So that's, I'd say that was a great move by you to kind of take that leap.
Thank you.
And speaking of just, kind of that growth and how far you've come professionally and also the brand. You know, do you have you know goals? Like, is there a North Star for you personally with Beam Light Sauna, and whether it's number of units? Yeah. You know, how do
Yeah.
you see, say, the next, in an ideal world, how do you want these next few years to go, or maybe even you're thinking longer timeline and longer than a few years?
Yeah, we do all of that. We planned out, our vision. We backed into it. That's what you need to do as a healthy company to see, so that you can even scale appropriately and add the appropriate support. So we have all of, the numbers side of things of where we want to go, which is important. You can have this great vision and that's the start of it. And then how can you back into that? So you need your finance people and your data people to back you into that. And so we have that. And then I feel so redundant, but it really is, if I can create, where I have a huge passion is creating those cultures internally that you see people just shine at a whole nother level. And if I can do that and do that really well, I, my goal is probably not big enough, and my vision is not big enough, because once you put that type of environment and culture in place that have values, and you've attracted those people that believe in that, and you really can get behind your purpose, you can go far beyond even the data points that you've backed into. And so we absolutely have, the 5-year goal and the 3-year goal, to achieve and reach. And I believe will far exceed that and just push through. But to me, it's really about creating those teams and environments where people can thrive. That's where I get the most excited, because then, yeah, all of the other things happen. And you have to have intentionality behind it, and you have to have tenacity, and, you have to have drivers in there and impact players. But I do believe that the impact to the community and really across the country comes once you've established that at your core business. And so maybe that doesn't seem like a big enough dream and goal, because it's out there. Yeah. I mean, when I started my first location, I put franchising on my website and then found out I wasn't allowed to do that. But before I was franchising, and to me, it was a survey, because I wanted to see who was interested in it. And you're not allowed to do that. So don't do that, listeners, but you can kind of get away with it. But, and so I had a bigger vision then of franchising long before there was even that the concept, was even established. And then obviously we had to show proof of that concept and make tweaks and change. And then my partner came in and opened one, and we made even more tweaks. So yeah, we want to impact and change a ton of lives, and we're doing that. And it starts with it's all of the little things that you do on a daily, and the little things that your team does on a daily, and creating that space where you can just crush it. Not that once you've created that at a corporate level, not that you can just do any business, but you can then switch and say, all right, guys, let's take the same structure, and put it here and plop up a new business and then drive it, because you've created that ability for your people to think freely and really show their strengths and everything. So I am huge about that culture piece, and I am, I might be the CEO of the company and leading the charge, but man, I can't do it by myself. No way. No way.
That's amazing. Well, yeah, I think I'm sure it is a team effort, and I'm excited to watch you guys continue to grow. Is there any place online that, for folks listening to this who are interested, where they can either follow you or Beam Light Sauna and learn more about the brand?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can go to our website, which is beamlightsauna.com, and Beam Light Sauna is our Instagram and Facebook social media handles as well. So that's probably the best place to follow us. We're on LinkedIn as well. So we'd love to hear from the viewers.
Awesome. Well, we will plug all those links in the show notes, folks. And if you're a newsletter subscriber, you will also get this delivered into your inbox as well. So we will be spreading the gospel of Beam Light Sauna soon enough.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Cynthia, for coming on again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always awesome talking to you, and your insight on the franchise world is amazing.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, we'll have to get you on when you maybe when we cross the 100-unit mark or whatever the next tier is. So
2025, that's happening in 2025. So
nice. All right. Awesome. We'll book it then. Cool. Well, great to chat again, and we'll talk soon.
You as well. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Franchise Empires. We're coming to you soon with actionable insights to take the next step on your franchise journey. So make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen.